Okay, so we live. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachah. This is Divine Prospect of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries doing another Freestyle Friday session. I mean, I guess this is getting popular because I've gotten a lot of requests for people asking me to go live. You know, are you going live this Friday or whatever the case may be? So it seems like the frequency is like every other Friday I go live. So I may keep that up and be consistent with it, depending upon the amount of support that I get behind it. But so far, it's been pretty overwhelming. A lot of people have been, I guess they like these kind of informal interactions where I just throw random information up and I get to interface with the chat or whatnot. So those of you who are awake at 3:05 a.m. in the morning and that are here in this chat, thank you for joining in. I appreciate you devoting your valuable time to sit and spend some time with me and learn some things, and I can learn some things for you guys from you guys as well. For those of you who have this link, please get this link and share it everywhere. All right, so that way we can get more people in here so they can be edified, empowered, encouraged, equipped to do this real work. All right, for our community, because that's what it's about at the end of the day, is edifying the community. All right, and enacting change. So there's a million and one subject matters that y'all know that I can get into today. I think what I'll probably do is share some of my recent research with you guys, so you guys can get an idea of some stuff that I have coming up. All right. Let me see. So this Sabbath, I'm doing a lecture at an event that's hosted out here in Atlanta at Shamre Torah by Nazi Yashuvel. And I'll be doing a brief lecture there. And I may record that footage and put it up for you guys, so you guys will see that. But the next weekend, I'll be in New York City for the Unity Conference hosted by Black News 102 and Sinetta. So there'll be several other Hebrew Israelites that'll be on that panel with me and other individuals from the conscious community, and pretty much be given about 20 minutes to give either a PowerPoint or a brief lecture in regards to presenting solutions. And what I'm going to do is actually present a real world solution for our community. All right, because we can't unify unless we have an environment where unification can thrive and unification can be cohesive and ideal. Right, nothing's perfect, but we could put things in place so that way we control and govern every aspect of our community, so that way we can push back the hands of the oppressor and trying to run everything that we're doing. Because, you know, my mindset is the more social ills that we alleviate, the more efficient our dialogues will be, whether they're debates, whether they're discussions. Why? Because we'll have a less environmental stress that is hindering us from actually focusing on the mission at hand, which is to sharpen one another for the greater good. All right. So this is why even with this ministry organization, we offer several programs as services to the community to alleviate social ills, because the more social ills we can alleviate, the more clear-minded people can be and receiving information that is life-altering. All right. So that's next weekend. So those of y'all who's in New York, I'll be in New York next weekend. I'll be at that event, which is next Sunday. Not this upcoming Sunday, next Sunday. I'll be at that event as well. And then after that, that's, let me see, the end of August going into September. So I'll be speaking, doing another lecture by the end of this month. Either the third weekend or the last weekend in this month, I'll be doing another lecture. I don't even know what it is, but I'll be doing one soon so you guys can tune in. All right. So with that, let me do the usual. Let me see who's in the chat. Let me give y'all a shout out. All right, let's check it out. All right, so we have Deborah Swart, shalom. The Black Av 1, shalom. 916 Shan, shalom. Obadiah Yisrael, shalom. Tanika West, shalom. Shout out to Tanika West. Tanika West, co-host of the show with Ron Dalton, called the Hebrews to Negro Show. They had featured me this past Wednesday and the Wednesday before that. So you guys can definitely go on their blog talk channel for Hebrews to Negroes and check out those sessions as well. So shout out to Tanika West. She co-hosted it with Ron Dalton. It was an excellent show. And I freestyled. You know, I was so busy, I didn't have a chance to put together a formal, dissertation. But going forward, I'll have something put together so that way I can better present. but they did an excellent job. Ron did an excellent job. I'm sorry, why am I saying Tanika? Tanika, not Tanika West. Man, forgive me. That's somebody totally different altogether. I'm bugging out. Tina, that's what I meant to say. Tina, I'm sorry. They hosted me on the show last week, and Tanika is part of the organization. She's doing a lot of assistance behind the scenes. Forgive me for that. I'm sorry, for making that mistake. That was scratched off the record. All right. So shout out to Global Purpose in the chat room, Navia Yasharel in the chat room, Jerome Penrose in the chat room, Cam in the way, Just Looking, Dale, shout out to Dale, shout out to Talk Truth with Shawnee, Gina Murray, Arias Judah, Sam Bone, Khan Truth. I mean, all y'all in the building today. Adaya Yisrael. Dang, why y'all never go to sleep, man? I don't understand, but it's cool. We hanging out together, so we could be doing something much worse, right? But thank the Most High, we here in the building. All right, so I'm going to just give a few seconds to let more people come in the chat. Like I said, y'all can share the link wherever y'all want to share it, and I'll get people out in the building. Deborah Swartz says, do you have a link to Hebrew talking to Negroes? I'm not sure what that means. Are you referring to the Hebrew to Negro show that I was on? If that's what you're talking about, Deborah, let me know. Area said they still make sleep. I know, right? Man, sleep is very elusive nowadays, man, but it's something that our body needs. At least 6 hours of sleep a day. So I gotta definitely gotta alter my schedule, right? All right. So let's see. Okay, yeah. I'll put the link up for you. Matter of fact, I'll tag you, Deborah, on Facebook. I'll tag you in it, and you can check it out. All right, family. So before I dig into what I'm about to dig in, if y'all have any questions, y'all can post it in there. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to answer every questions, because the people who view this channel, y'all are very smart, and y'all ask me the most critical questions. And it's probably because the method in which I teach, I encourage critical thinking, and y'all just take it to the next level and ask me these questions. And sometimes I feel like y'all think that I'm the Most High. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think it's very honorable for people to trust coming to me with questions. And, like I said to the family, I know people have been reaching out to me. I have not forgotten about any of y'all. Just give me some time to get back to y'all, because I'm flooded. I have so much on my plate going on. This is why I'm bringing more people in to implement them into the organization, so they can assist with, minimizing the workload, and being able to get the resources in return for compensation for assisting, and it's only made possible from the help of you guys. So if y'all are still, on the chat, if y'all want to do a donation, you guys know you can go to GoFundMe and go to Kingdom Harbinger. You guys can donate through the super chat in this live chat. If you don't know how to do it, you'll see a little $ next to a smiley face underneath the chat, where you type your message in, and you can click on that. You can donate directly through that. And the Patreon site will be up soon, so y'all can do a donation through there as well. And again, donations help, transition me to doing this more for the community, as opposed to my contracting jobs that I do and the other programs and services that I offer, because I would love to devote my full time and attention to everybody. And if I was able to do that, which I will be soon, then every question, every request that comes to me or anybody that's part of the organization will get responded to ASAP. I don't like delaying on things, because I tend to be perfectionist. But unfortunately, being that the team is smaller now and there's a bigger workload, I want to be able to minimize that, so that way I can reach each and everybody, because I don't want to forget nobody, So I don't see a smile face, brother. There you go. All right. Obadiah Israel said, how can I help? It depends. Whatever your skill set may be, I want to cultivate a person's potential to surface, you know. So when a person tells me, hey, I can do A, B, C, F, and G, and they want to use that to contribute to assist, while they're assisting me, I'm cultivating what's in them, you know, because my objective is to build leaders, right? I don't want to build followers, right? I don't want to build fans, right? I want to build and cultivate leaders, right? Because you're only successful if you have successors. And the least amount of successors you have determines the least amount of success you actually have in life, or it showcases the selfishness of your motive behind your intentions, right? And as accountable leaders who striving to lead the community, that's what we do. I never asked for this position. And when I tell people, when people ask me, they say, well, how do I know that I've been chosen to lead people? The first thing I ask them, I say, did you ask for that role? If they say yes, I say, well, chances are it may be selfish ambition. If they tell me no, I never asked for it, I try to avoid it, but you know, circumstances and situations occur that place me in that position to perform. And I said, you know what? You've been called to lead, you know. So just give me 1 second, family. I'm gonna step away for a second. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna step away. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so you need your water on. Yeah, I know I do. I need to go get my water. How y'all know I needed my water? Hold on, let me. All right. So my bad for that brief intermission. I also changed out my computer. So for those of you who don't know, I mentioned it before, and people ask, you know, I contract with companies, right? So I offer my help desk support, analytical skills to other companies and businesses. So I have a current contract that I'm on right now that an agency helped to navigate, and I'm a tier 3 help desk support analyst. Okay, so that means that I take the most escalated of escalated calls before it goes to developers, and I sift through the issues, I assess it, and I bring forth a strategy to resolve the issues that have been escalated through level 1, level 2, up to me to level 3 before it gets to the actual developers or the coders or the engineers. So that's what I do. I'm kind of like the liaison between the two. So it's a very interesting job. You know, it's something that I've been doing for a long time. I've been doing this role for, I mean, well over 11 years, about 12 years I've been doing this. So, you know, I get contracts from time to time, and these contracts could be anywhere from a month to several years. You know, sometimes I do contracts on the side while I'm doing other jobs as well. So the reason why I bring that up is because I also have a computer repair and a computer building business where I actually build computers and I actually troubleshoot computers. So you guys know about that. So I would show y'all my old computer. It's about 6 years old. I built it from scratch. It has a, I don't know if I want to talk about specs and stuff here. I don't think this is the audience for it. I don't know. But anyway, I'll probably show y'all one day so you'll see what it looked like. But I got a new computer, so this is the first time me using the webcam and the mic on the new computer. So hopefully you guys can hear me clearly. You guys can see me clearly. If so, hit 1, and then we'll get into some information. All right. So just let me know. Let me see what y'all saying is here. Okay, I see what you're seeing, Deborah. Where is the $ at the top of the page? I don't see it. Well, if you're on your computer, on the right side, you're going to see the live chat. At the bottom of the live chat, you're going to see the name of your YouTube channel. And underneath, it'll say something, where you can type in a message. And then underneath that, you'll see a smiley face. You'll see a dollar sign. To the right, you'll see the character count. And then you'll see the send button. So the second icon there with the $ is the one you can click on and do the super chat if you want to give a brief donation. So that was for Talk Truth with Sean. Have you ever made the correlation with Hebrew Israelite and Moorish doctrine? They seem to have a lot of similarities to me. Yes, there is some similarities there. I probably will have to do an lecture on that. But the reason for that is a lot of the Sephardim and the Moors and their intertwining in North Africa and the Iberian Peninsula before they were kicked out in 1492. So the reason why you see a lot of similarities and correlations, because they've been a community together for hundreds of years before they were dispelled from the area in which they were leading and ruling and reigning for a brief period of time. You know, and they assisted helping the certain European nations from coming out of the dark age that the Roman Catholic Church had over the masses. So there is some similarities, but there are also some differences. I love my people so much. Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody. Cool, everybody. All right, cool. Everybody can hear me. I love our people so much. I want to help and see us make better lives for ourselves together, nation. That's from Black Av 1. I agree. I'm the same way. I was talking to Marsh brother who mentioned the Assyrian Gospels. Have you run across this in the 1st century lost Gospels or just something created later? Great question. Before I get off, I'm going to try to see if I can find some of my documents on that. But that is definitely an interesting conversation. And when they say Assyrian Gospels, they're really referring to Syria, right? Or North Mesopotamia, where there was gospel epistles that was crafted up in that region as well. So I'll definitely see if I can find my documents on that before I get into some of the stuff I want to share with y'all. But if not, Aries Judah, just email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. If I don't get to you right away, I will get to you. And I'll definitely send you some documents on that if you're interested. All right. So you can research that further. Right. Let's see. The Black App says you can build a computer for music. Yes, I can build a computer for music. Let me see. That would be awesome to see. I think Lawan, shout out to Lawan. He jumped on King Morpheus. Shout out to King Morpheus. Listen, I got to shout you guys out because you guys support me. And I want the audience to know who's actually here grinding with me. You know what I'm saying? And if you have anything that you guys are doing productive in the community or have a business, something, let me know. Put it in the chat. I'll shout you out and give you exposure. All right. Shout out to the watchers. Do you subscribe to the New Testament and why? King Morpheus, you said, do I subscribe to the New Testament and why? I subscribe to what's called the Reconstructed Brit Hadashah. That's what I subscribe to. And if you want to know what that entails, I have several videos on my YouTube channel that you can watch. One of them is called The Patriarchal Priesthood in the Bible Unveiled. Another one is called Capital Punishment, Human Sacrifice for the Atonement of Sin in the Bible. And then I have those teleconference videos I have in there where I talk about the Reconstructed Brit Hadashah. I've shared that with my study groups when I have my teleconference sessions. Then I'm going to restart up again. But I had a whole session on that I shared with my group. But the reason why I subscribe to the Reconstructed Brit Hadashah, so my subscription to the so-called New Testament is not in the form that you have today in the King James Bible, right? I don't subscribe to just that by itself. Just like even in the Tanakh, Remember, my position is I believe, and I'm saying believe loosely, more of my subscription is to the divine inspiration of the text. I am not a proponent for biblical inerrancy because I do textual criticism, and there's not one manuscript that is deemed the authoritative manuscript in regards to the so-called Bible. So whenever that's the case, you have to take everything into consideration. And this is why textual criticism is important. Knowing history is important. Looking at archaeology is important. Comparative cultures is important. Language is important. All of these things help you to reconstruct what occurred. And when I went to college, for forensic psychology. I didn't graduate, but I went for about 3 years for forensic psychology. And the objective was how can you reconstruct a crime scene and understand the motives and intentions behind the individuals that committed the crime. And as a forensic psychologist, how can you piece the parts together and be able to distinguish motive from intent and see how that transpires in regards to putting a crime scene together? And it doesn't have to even be a crime scene, because this, it was in relation to what I was going to college for, but that type of technique can be placed on anything. And one thing I learned is that about history. So the past is the event that actually occurred. The history is us trying to reconstruct what happened in the past. And that changes every year or every 10 years, every 20 years, because new stuff is being unearthed. New people are coming into the game. So it's not like an exact science like chemistry and biology, you know what I'm saying? Things that could be reproduced in a lab. These are things that you're dealing with in inexact science when you deal with humanities and arts, okay? So there's a different level when it comes to anthropology, because new things can arise and it's a self-correcting mechanism, you know what I'm saying, that continues to improve upon itself. So going to school or college for forensic psychology helped me have a keen sense of trying to reconstruct things that occur. And what I realized is that, with the Brit Hadashah, there was a lot of things going on in history that affected its full compilation. So my objective is to go back to the time frame of what was going on, study the history, and look at everything in there to see how it lines up with the Tanakh. There's a lot of people that would say, oh, the so-called New Testament is contradictory to the Tanakh, and it was written by Greeks and so forth. I mean, I've done sessions on that where I've disproved all of that, right? And I run this information to academia and they verify it. So my subscription to the Brit Hadashah is very unique. And if you just go back and watch some of my recent videos in the past couple of months, you'll be able to see what my stance is on that. All right. All right. Let's see what else is going on. Yes, Talk Truth was showing you have to go on your computer to see that. I don't think they'll let you do super chat on the phone. I'm not sure, sis. But I'll check it out another time and let you know going forward. So I appreciate that. What is your thoughts on the 400-year prophecy? When you say 400-year prophecy, Sam Bone, are you referring to the prophecy where they state that the Exodus occurred during the Middle Kingdom, and because Israel sojourned in Egypt for 215 to 230 years, it was not a fulfillment of the 400-year prophecy that the Most High said to Abraham that his descendants will go through, and that prophecy has been put off until the transatlantic slave trade, when so-called African Americans came over here to the Americas, and that them being in slavery for 400 years, after that consummates, the opening stage would occur in regards to end time prophecies or eschatology. So I don't know, is that what you're referring to? If so, let me know. All right. Isabella of Argon and husband Philip think struck a deal with Papal Rome to get rid of. Yes, I agree. Sister inboxed me about getting a divorce from a husband that's cheating with white women. What advice would you offer? Getting a divorce from a husband that's cheating with white women. Man, that is very interesting. I would say, I think I would probably handle that on the side. And once I've worked that out, I'll publicly come out and speak about it generally. But yeah, Navia, we'll chat with that. We'll chat about that on the side. Can you do a lecture on your thoughts of Shaul? All right. So My thoughts on Shaul, I'll be very brief on that. The Pauline epistles, or the epistles of Shaul, is not authoritative, especially to those who subscribe to Israelite heritage, right? Because Shaul's audience was towards Goyim, or Gentiles. Now, some people will say, well, those are the northern tribes. Some people say those are all just Gentiles. Some people say it's a mixture of both. My position is it was a mixture of both. But his epistles is not authoritative. My perspective on his epistles is that it's good information. You know, some information is good, some information I don't think is good. So it's not authoritative. The Gospels as well is not authoritative per se, but it has a higher priority than the Pauline epistles. Torah is the foundation, right? And everything else has to match against Torah. Even the Nevi'im and Ketubim have to match against Torah. So even the Nevi'im and Ketubim, to me, is still not authoritative. The Torah, the legal code, is authoritative in the Torah, right? The establishment or ethnogenesis of the culture is authoritative in regards to the Torah, right? These things are important. Blessings, prayers, all of these things that was the initial social memory that was passed on via oral tradition and then later on written down, you know, into compiled into what we have, similar to what we have today, because we don't have the autograph, so we know that what we have today is 100% exact than what was revealed during a time when these things were contemporary. But Torah is the foundation. That is the authority. From there, everything has to match against it. And what I do is that everything that matches with Torah, then I accept it, right? I accept it, I accept it, I accept it. But if it doesn't, I'll leave it out. Because there's even some things in the Tanakh, the rest of the Tanakh, not really the Torah, but the Nevi'im and Ketubim, that look contrary to Torah, you know, and that's questionable. And we have to say, well, how did that get there? So that's another discussion for another day, but I'll get into that. But Torah is the foundation. Torah is the authority, right? So off of Torah, everything else is built on top of Torah. So I go through everything else. So when it comes to the Pauline epistles, the gospel of Christ is different than the gospel of the kingdom. The gospel of the kingdom is towards the remnant of Israel who's going to be awoken and being inducted into the order of Melchizedek so they can go out and reach the lost sheep. The gospel of Christ is a means of removing a partition to allow the Gentiles to now be able to cleave unto the Israelites individually, not nation-wise, so they could be grafted in. So Paul had a different audience, so therefore I'm not a Gentile. So therefore his epistles are not authoritative to me. They don't rule or regulate anything that I say. There's good information in it that I take from it. There's information that I don't subscribe to in it. So I take the good, I eat the meat, spit out the bones in regards to that. When it comes to the Gospels, and I went over this before in a video, you know, the book of Matthew and Mark are the high authorities. Then comes Luke, and then comes John, then John, then Luke. So that's how I rank it. So I go Matthew, Mark, with Matthew slightly over Mark. And then from there, I go to John, and from John, I go to Luke, and then from there, Acts, and so forth. The book of Hebrews is up there as well. I would say that's probably in the top 6, right? In regards to me dealing with it. Then the general epistles from Cephas, from Jacob, from James, from Peter, etc. All of those are authoritative. But it's, you know, people have very weak exegetical skills because they don't study history, right? And or they don't look at the cultural development, right, during the time frame in which the text was written. So, you know, they don't apply proper hermeneutics, you know what I'm saying, in regards to trying to figure out what's going on. Again, reconstructing the crime scene, right, or reconstructing the past by trying to have a corrective history, right? So let's move forward. Lawan Hirsch, Luke Devon near the city, and we'll be linking with you very soon. All right, King, no doubt. Lawan, definitely email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Holla at me, and if you want to come through, whatever the case would be, let me know, and we'll arrange something. All right. Let's see. 3 a.m. live. Ron got no chill. He works off Israel time zone. Shout out to Bronx Baller 1020, man. Let me see. Let's see. Soya Cavalier. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Soya Cavalier. I appreciate the donation. Thank you. And Tanika, thank you, Tanika, as well. I appreciate you guys for the donation, because you guys are helping this platform benefit others who may be unable to give, because you guys know I don't beg with regards to receiving donations. People ask about doing it. I want them to voluntarily be inspired and motivated to give, and it helps to benefit everybody else. So I definitely appreciate you guys for giving, because you're making it better for everybody else, including myself. So thank you those who have been giving. And if you can't give, I'll take your prayers, I'll take your assistance, I'll take your advice. If you guys have some good advice or some direction that you think that I should go in that'll improve this platform, you know, whatever it may be, I get the feed from you guys, and it makes everything better over here. So I appreciate everybody in the chat. And like I said to you guys all the time, y'all are the real MVP. All right. So let's get into some information. All right. Now let's go through. Thank you. I'll try and find the video you discussed this. I think, Jerome, were you talking about the Paul? You talking about Paul? I think you talking about Paul. But yeah, go back to my channel and watch those things. Now, in regards to Paul, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link to all of the study group teleconference sessions, and you can listen to those at your leisure. Those things are not public, right? But I'll send you the link, and you can check them out. And I go in about that. I go in about a lot of that. You know, the Hebrew Matthew and Shaul's epistles, and you know, his conflict with the so-called apostles and stuff like that. I go over all that in there. You guys can definitely check that out. All right. All right, family. So I'm gonna put y'all on to some things that I've been studying. These are things that I've brought out before, but I'm doing more intense studying. I'm gonna type something in the chat. Right. Now, I'm going to type something in the chat, and I want you guys to tell me what is the importance of this name, right? So I put the name in the chat. Check out the name I put in the chat, and you guys tell me the importance of that name, right? So you guys can see what it is that I'm studying. And like I said, I like to deal with stuff that's unique, that other people are not dealing with, other people are not addressing in our community, because to me, I don't like stale and stagnant information. If the people are saying the same information over and over again, that's why if you look at my lectures, it's something fresh, something new all the time. You feel what I'm saying? So it has to be information that is going to inspire people to think more critically and inspire growth, right? So I want you guys, to check out the name that I placed in there, and you guys tell me the importance of that name, because I know some of y'all Googling it right now. I see y'all. Some of y'all Googling it right now, but somebody give me some feedback on that. Signify Monkey says it's Ramses' first daughter. Ramses what? Ramses 1, Ramses 2, Ramses 3. Which Ramses? In Hebrew implies that King Fire is more talking about causing strife, chaos in your temple and your dwelling place. Am I wrong here? Octagon. That's coming away. Well, you're not wrong. There's a Pardes method of interpreting scripture, and this actually was created by Middle Age and medieval sages, right, of the Torah. And I don't really subscribe to a lot of their stuff. I'm more of a Karaite Yahudi. But anyway, there's various layers of interpretation. You have the surface layer, the implied layer, then you have the deeper layer, and then you have the lowest sud layer, right? So you have the Peshat all the way down to the Sud layer. So the Sud layer is where you would get things such as metaphysical understanding of things, right? And a lot of people who use the gematria, they do this. They use a Sud level of laying. But the problem is with the Sud layer of interpreting the text or exegeting the text is it is very subjective, right? Because who's the authority on the Sud layer, right? There's no real authority on the Sud layer. When you understand the culture, the history, the language, it speaks for itself what the text is implying. But a lot of times, being that this is divine text where there's deeper levels for the individual, right? It allows you to do more soul searching to see more ways that the text can speak to you, right? So when you be able to relate it to what we call killing fire means to avoid strife in your temple on the Shabbat or times at peace, then that is a sud layer that's subjective for the individual. When we're looking at the text itself, in its concrete state. The text is not conveying that, right? But when we compare it to other precepts, we can see that that's also implied. And that way, what was going on physically can have an underlining meaning that is there for the individual, right? We have something in the book of Yaakov or James, which says, he that knoweth to do good and doeth not, to him it is sin or going astray. So the Most High has revealed to you that, hey, what I've given to Israel concretely, to you personally, I'm saying, do not cause strife in your temple or amongst others during Shabbat, which is similar to kindling fire, and that is inspiring your walk or your growth with the Most High. Who am I to encroach upon that? What I would say is that allow your life to be that example, so that when people see you and they read the text, your life will give them more of what the Ruach is saying as opposed to what was just said. You're feeling me? Hopefully you're following me, all right? So let's go back. So signified monkey, yes, it is Ramses II. And guess what? He married his firstborn daughter. Ramses II married his firstborn daughter. And Ramses II had Anat as his matron deity, right? So why is that interesting? Because Anat is a Semitic deity from Canaan. So here we have a situation where Ramses is so enthralled with Semitic culture that he names his firstborn daughter Binat Anath, which literally means daughter of Anat. And he takes Anat and uses Anat to be his patron deity, his matron deity, right? To oversee him going to wars, because she was a warrior deity, right? Similar to Hathor, right? So Ramses is enthralled by this to the point where he names his daughter after this. He uses Anat, a Semitic Canaanite deity, to be his matron protector as he goes to battle. And the name Bint Anath is Semitic. It is not Egyptian, right? Or it's not Kemetic. It is Semitic, right? So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Anath is a Theophoric name. And we'll see that also in the scriptures. When you go to Judges chapter 3 and Judges chapter 5, you'll see a reference to an individual by the name of Shamgar, and his father's name was Anath. Anath was also a place that was in the land of Canaan that the Israelites had taken over, where Jeremiah was from, Jeremiah, right? So Anath is actually a Theophoric name. Why? Because Anat was one of the deities in the land of Canaan that the Israelites had adopted, either through social memory via oral tradition, or when they got in the land from acculturating with the Canaanites that lived there. But the thing I'm saying is that they implemented these names, right? These titles of these deities into their personal name. We also have Yerub Baal, or Yerub Baal. So Yerub Baal is the name for who? Gideon. Why? Because he contended with Baal. That's literally what it means. So you see that they put the word Baal in his name. Baal is not always depicting a deity. Baal could also mean a overseer or a master, right? Because some of the women in the Tanakh call their husbands Baal or Lord, which was a title. But when you want to attribute Baal to a personal deity, it would be Baal Hadad, like we see from the Ugaritic text, right? Baal Hadad, right? And Baal Hadad was central, the Baal cycle, and Hadad, because it means Lord Hadad or Master Hadad. These Baal cycles was a reoccurring myth that they would teach and that they would implement, because it talked about the rain cycles, spring cycles, winter cycles, right? But we have individuals within the culture of Israel that were implementing theophoric names of other entities and other deities. So this was so prominent, and we see that also in ancient Kemet. They would do the same thing. I mean, matter of fact, most of the names, because they had 5 names. Each Nasut had 5 names, right? And in their names, like, for example, I have right here Min Kepere. Well, you can't see it. I put it up on my other board, but Min Kepere. Kepere, right? Or Keper is the name of the dung beetle, but was also deified in ancient Kemet as well. So you have these deity names that are in the personal names of kings, of people, etc. So this is, different than today. Today, you know, a lot of times people don't put a lot of thought in naming their children, right? What we do is when we become conscious, we go and seek for a name that speaks about our character, right? So a lot of times the initial name that we had is not giving reverence to the purpose that was placed into us. So we have to seek for a name. You know why? Because every time your name is spoken, an invocation takes place. And if that invocation is not drawing from your character, right, it's going to supplant it with something else. And you're going to become what your name is. That's why I tell people, insults should be light because you should only respond to what is prominent about your character. So if somebody calls you an insulting name and you respond, it's because there's something in that spell that came out that reverberates or resonates with you that forces you to respond to it. It's calling forth some energy or something that is in you and you are responding to it. But if you are settled with your character and who you are, and people say certain things or call you certain things, you will not respond to it. This is why when people insult me, I can brush it off. You know why? Because they're not bringing none of that energy that's attached to that connotative value of that name out of me. So I don't need to respond. I don't make a video. I need to respond. It's not that serious. And as leaders, we have to take this into account to fully get into the level of self-actualization where we can be more objective. And in doing so, it allows us to have a greater degree of diplomacy and tact, right? So Theophoric names and those times are very important because when according to the culture, and we don't have a closed culture here in America, right? We don't have a closed culture. Our culture is very open, and there's a lot of culturation that's taking place, and even enculturation that takes place, right? So in an enclosed culture, right, a culture that's pretty much closed, there are safeguards on a culture to protect it from outside influences that seek to undermine it, and there are individuals that agree that over a lengthy period of time, they've passed down certain things via social memory that is designed to preserve the culture, right? Because of trial and error that occurred, and which we see in the customs that they apply is a result of thousands of years of anthropology taking place amongst these people, and trial and error, and the success of the trial and error, and maybe some issues that they still have from the culture that they're passing out to the next generation in order for them to resolve it. An example of that is when we read the book of Shemot, chapter 20, when the Most High says that he would visit the iniquity, right, unto the third and fourth generation. Why? Because the error or an issue that occurs in the culture of the forefathers, that responsibility lays upon the third, fourth generation to correct it. Otherwise, a visitation from the Most High power will come upon that people, that land, that lineage, etc. So we have an obligation that we take the framework or the landmark that was given to us, and we have to make something out of it, right? Because we're in a different age and time. So we take those things and we find a way to make it practical, so that way when we apply it, they can fix societal ills, yield results, and we can then rise up to a greater form of spirituality, right? So spirituality only happens when you can take some deep information left behind by your ancestors from the past, and that you can translate it into a format where it can fix your societal ills, and in doing so yield the results that's necessary for self-edification and edification of your community. Therefore, now that becomes engulfed into the social memory, and then that gets passed on, and now your mark has been left that you've added on to the sure foundation, so that way the subsequent generations don't have to suffer from any iniquities, any issues that we've suffered here in this generation. Hopefully this is making sense. Hopefully I'm speaking to somebody. All right. So let me see what's going on out there. But I'm supposed to found an RC church. And not posted those meaningful cross-referencing gematria. I believe in Enoch, these trial angels, white Egyptian, basically. All right. So going back to what I was saying. So theophoric names are very important because it allows you some insight to see what has inspired the parents of the individual to give this name to their child, right? And sometimes in the text, we'll see that the scribe will actually go back and he would place a name on a character in the text. So it'll be a historical character, but they would give that historical character a theophoric name or give them a name that describes character or attributes. So I'm gonna share this with you guys, right? Because there's various ways to look at this, right? There's a science called epistemology, which is the study of what is known. How do you know what you know? How can you verify, substantiate what you know? Okay, if you don't know what epistemology is, you can Google it or research it, right? So when we're looking at a piece of literature, and we're seeing that there's characters that are in the literature, and we find a situation where if these events are historical, why is it that these characters have names that describe an act or a characteristic that they possess? How did they receive this before they were born? Right? Either we're talking about a holy prophetic nation where the Most High moves on certain parents to name their children something because of a destiny that was birthed out of them. We see this happen with a lot of characters in the text. And when I say characters, I'm not saying that in a kind of degraded way. I'm saying that for the sake of being objective. A holy prophetic nation where parents are now being moved by inspiration of Yah to name their child something that is in accordance and alignment with that child's future destiny. So either these people were fully in alignment with the Ruach at that time, unhindered, and the names in which they gave their children denoted the character and purpose that was birthed into them when they arrived on the scene, or this is the penmanship hallmark of the scribe, going back and looking at these narratives and deciding to place certain names on these historical characters to pull out more of what the historical story is saying. All right. So this is really deep, family, really deep. And I'm telling you this because, again, I'm an apologist, right? I'm here to defend our culture and our community. But in order for me to do so, I got to show you the pro and con. So the con says, oh, this book is a book of fiction, of folklore and all this stuff, because you know why? We have supposedly historical characters in there, but their names that they have are names that denote what they're going to do before they do it. How was that possible? This is why they say that the Bible is fictional, is not real, because of this, right? But then we have people on the other side that said, no, when you look at the culture was heavily entrenched in the worship and reverence of their patron deity, so much so that they had a divine connection with this entity. And this entity would reveal things to them in advance, as we see through the narrative, and they would use this revelation, this epiphany, and then they would carve out a name of invocation, which the name does. It provokes, it invokes, and they place this power onto the child. So when a child's name is spoken of, what it does is the character is imbued by the calling of the name. Wow. This is really deep. I don't want to get too deep, but this is really deep, right? So I say this to say, when we look at the nation of Israel, they were fully prophetic because the Ruach was moving. Today, we've been so removed from nature. We've been so removed from our prayers to the Most High. Some people don't even know how to properly pray. We've been so disconnected from hearing, right, with the intent to obey. We've been so removed from each other and celebrating the destiny that is in people that are around us, right? We become so enclosed and so fixated and focused on self that we become disconnected with other people that the Most High has placed there for us to draw energy from and place energy back into. There's so many things that the ancients were doing that today, because of technology, today because of oppression, today because of a lack of proper education, today because of a lack of historical continuity to our ancient culture that our ancestors had, that connects us to our destiny, our identity, which leads to our destiny. We've been so removed from these things. We have so much technology that is interfering with the alpha, theta, and beta brain waves as well. And this is important because when your mind is being clogged and bogged down by other forms of information that's floating on the ELF waves that your brain is operating on, it is removing you away from a clear path to the Creator. This is why people who tend to live off the grid, out of major cities and on the land, where they come back in tune with nature. They'd be able to restore their prayer life. They'd be able to cherish people in their presence because they're typically isolated. So when a person comes in their presence, now they have a greater means of hospitality towards their individuals. They're allowing the land to rest, right? They're using the things in nature to chart time, and they're looking at the handiwork of Yah, because there's no light pollution from the city that is hindering away from them having an open view of the Most High's handiwork in the heavens. I mean, when these people disconnect themselves from these inner cities, they're able to go back onto the land and they'll be able to restore what we've lost, right? But those of us that have to live here in these cities, be mindful of the things that's put in place. There's predictive and subliminal programming on TV, on commercials, on the radio. All these things are designed to cause schisms in the mind, right? To prevent the ruach from flowing in you and bring you back in alignment and in tune with the Most High. So now you hear Divine sharing information for edification, right? And a lot of things I say, I can validate, but some things that I say is just there for your empowerment, right? It's for somebody. It's for somebody. But I digress. Let me get back on track, all right? So with that being said, and y'all can munch on that another time. But with that being said, what I want you to understand is that when people speak of the ancient Semitic cultures, and the ancient Israelites are one of them, and they speak very highly of ancient Kemet, because I study a lot about ancient Kemet. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff that I know about the culture that I don't share. Even getting into the language that I've been doing, I've learned a lot, right? I've been to lectures, I've been to seminars, you know, I've read, I've spent diligent time studying. I know a lot about the culture. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. Just like the Israelite culture, I know a lot. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't like when people romanticize. I'll give you an example. The compound bow. Where did the ancient Cometians learn about the compound bow and the horse and chariot? Where did they learn this from? Somebody tell me. Somebody put in the chat. Where did they learn this from? Anybody? Where did the ancient Egyptians or ancient people of Kemet, where did they learn about the compound bow from? And where did they learn about the horse and chariot from? They got it from somebody. What group of people did they get it from? Anybody can answer this. I know y'all are researching and no, okay. Just Looking said the Hyksos for the chariot, yes. And they also learned about the compound bow from the Hyksos. And that's just a few of the many things that they gained for the Hyksos. And because the Hyksos invaded them, it improved the ancient Kemet people. It improved their military. Wow. Even to the fact that we had the Suts going into the land of Canaan, subjugating the peoples in Canaan, they were taking things from their culture. Where do you think Seth came from? Seth is a Semitic deity. The name itself, Seth, is Semitic. It is not indigenous to ancient Kemet. So they adopted it to the point where we had a Seti the first. His name comes from Seth. That is a Semitic name. So they borrowed from that culture. When I told you Bint Anath, that is a Semitic name. Ramses had a daughter, his firstborn daughter, who he later married and had children with. He named her Bint Anath. So every time that name is spoken, that deity has been invoked. The ancient Kemetic people were known for adopting deities from other people and things from other people, but they've also given their culture to other people as well. So we can't speak like any ancient culture lived in a vacuum. That's not true. That's clearly not true. So Romanticism has to die, whether that's from the Kemetic community, whether that's from the Israelite community. We must kill Romanticism, because you know what Romanticism does? It invokes pride and ego. That's why we have to deal with the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So we have to be very honest with cultures. I got something coming up when I get to New York. There's a little event that we got coming up, and I'm going to bring some stuff out about ancient Kemet, right? And it's nothing bad, but it's interesting stuff that a lot of people don't know about, right? One of the things I'm going to tell you about is that one of the Sut had their throat slashed. Wow. He had his throat slashed. I'm gonna let you go back and research about that. I'm gonna bring out a lot of information. Got a lot of information. He had his throat slashed. It was a conspiracy that occurred, and his throat got slashed. When you go back and research that, it's deep. When they found the body, they actually removed the bandages. And I'll give you a hint: the old movie called The Mummy that played way back in the day. The movie The Mummy was based off of this particular king that was assassinated, right? And they just recently, in the past maybe 7 years, discovered what actually happened to him. Because prior to that, there was a lot of assumptions and guesses, etc. Right? But y'all go back and research that. I'm gonna bring this information out next weekend, among other things. But like I said, even when I deal with ancient Israel, right? I don't like Romanticism. I like to deal with the text as it is. Here's an example. You know, there's some people out there in a conscious community that say, oh, well, you guys should just use the story of Lot to be mythological, because if not, he had sex with his daughters and they had children. First of all, he was inebriated when this happened, and they took advantage of him because they lived by themselves. It was just their father and his 2 daughters. Nobody else lived with them. It was just them. So being that it's just them, as a woman, not being able to produce seed was something that was looked down upon in the culture. So even though the means in which they did so was ancestral, they would still be able to produce seed. But these seed became an antagonist to ancient Israel, right? Because Lot wasn't supposed to go with Abraham. I'm gonna let that sink in. Lot wasn't supposed to. The Most High told Abraham, leave your family, your kinsfolk, and go into the land that I tell you to go. Abraham takes Lot with him. So as a result, he had to go rescue Lot, get Lot rescued twice, and then now, because of the rescuing the last time from Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot had 2 daughters who then had an incestuous relationship with their father, produced children, and now those children became the antagonists to the children of Israel, all because Abraham was supposed to leave Lot back in his own homeland. That's deep, family. That's really deep, really deep. But anyway, so I say that to say, damn, I just forgot my thought. Okay, I don't know, but let me transition. So being that that's the case, no one culture was in a vacuum, and Romanticism has to die. When we looked at the situation where Abraham was going to offer his son Isaac as a child sacrifice to the Most High Yah, Abraham never questioned it. You know why? Because in Mesopotamia, child sacrifice was given all the time. So now he's coming into covenant with a new entity, a new deity that is asking him and inquiring him and requesting for him to give a child sacrifice. He never questioned it because this is something that he would have been familiar with back when his father Terah was selling idols back in Mesopotamia. And by the way, the reason why they migrated, from my perspective, in my research, they migrated from north all the way to Haran was because the Gutian peoples were coming into that region and upsetting the Akkadian the Akkadian governmental system, and they were doing ambush attacks and they weakened society. And these people came in, the Gutians came in from the Iranian steppes. They came in, they set up shop, and what happened was Terah, who was Abraham's father, sold idols. So idol selling was a huge business back in those times, right? So Terah was making a lot of money selling idols. What happened was, when a new culture comes and usurps the previous culture, and the previous culture is who you've had a customer base or clientele selling idols to, now what tends to happen is you have a situation where you can no longer conduct business because a new culture has come in. So what they did was they moved north to Haran, where they can still continue, his father can still continue to sell these idols, right? So the Most High had to remove him from that area. But first, the Most High allowed history and allowed natural events to occur to migrate him north, because Yah was apportioned the Levant region. He was the patron deity. El was the patron deity over the Levant region, and Yah was his avatar of El to reveal himself in covenant to the nation of Israel, which he had to reveal his name in order to come into covenant with them to fulfill the prophecy and the promise that he's given to Abraham. So he allowed natural events to force them to migrate north So now he's in the realm in which El resides and is a patron deity over. Now he can call to Abraham and move him into the heart of Canaan and work him, right? But interestingly enough, the teraphim were votive offerings, right? And these could be as big as a man or as small as this. And the teraphim is very, very interesting because when you look at the story of Jacob, you'll see that his wives took teraphim from their father Laban and took it with them. This is deep. The teraphim were elements that were still in the culture that the Most High never rejected. The problem was later on when Israel started to go disobey when they got into the land, the Most High condemned the usage of teraphim because they were being used as votive offerings to other deities. So he said that he's going to remove the teraphim from out the people, but the teraphim were these small icons that the people utilized as votive offerings to whatever patron, matron deity that they subscribed to. And the Most High never condemned the usage of teraphim. That's why when we go and look at the Judite sites or the Israelite sites from the Iron Age 1, Iron Age 2, we see a whole host of teraphim. It's when the teraphim is devoted to another deity. The Most High says, do not make any graven images of anything in the heavens, anything in the earth, anything beneath the earth or in the sea, because this becomes an abomination. Why? Because it leads people to worship other deities. So he knows the weakness and the spirit of the people. So he says your nefesh is going to be controlled by the ruach that's in you. So I don't want you to be tempted. So don't do this. But certain votive offerings or certain other items were created for the Most High. I'll give you an example. The Ark of the Covenant had two cherubim that was covering the Ark of the Covenant where the mercy seat was. These are two likenesses that are made in the heavens above. Why did the Most High tell them to fashion, shape this, and form this if it goes contradictory to the 10 Commandments? That's very interesting. So that means certain things were allowed, right? Were allowed, provided that it did not drive the people away from worshiping the Most High. All right. Another interesting thing is looking at the Asherah poles. Look up the Asherah poles. The Most High says he didn't outlaw the Asherah poles. He just told them, do not have it anywhere near the temple or the place of worship of me is at. Why? Because now when you do this thing, you're going to put this other entity pinai, face to face with me. And that is when you break a commandment. And that's when I got to render judgment against you. The Israelites were very henotheistic. In their pre-exilic state, they were very henotheistic. And a lot of people I know don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. They were very henotheistic. They understood other entities that was there in this council and other sub-infantry men that were under these councilmen that was in the council where the Most High is the creator and presided over. And they understood these other entities were there, and they had other functions in other societies and other cultures, and even within their own culture, they had functions. The problem is when people started taking these elements and these entities and raising them equal to the Most High. So what happened was when the Israelites went into Babylonian captivity, came back out of Babylon captivity into Persian captivity and started to set up shop, now they had to redact the text so that way the inclusion of any entity outside of Yah has to be condemned, so that way the children of Israel do not go astray further, right? Because they're already in captivity as a reminder of their forefathers' disobedience, so that way they won't go astray further. Now in Second Temple Judaism, which was a religious system that was then established in order to create a naturalistic cohesiveness amongst the people, they had to redact the text so that way the people will know that the central focus is Judah, because the Levites had a close-knit relationship with Judah, and speaking out of the sense of understanding the Judite kings and the covenant the Most High made with David and preservation of that lineage, that we have to refrain from the quote-unquote idol worship of the other tribes, right? More particularly Ephraim, which represented the northern tribe, because the capital city of the northern tribes was in Samaria, right? So why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all this for people to understand that there's good, there's bad, and there's ugly in every culture. There was no culture that was ideal. The only ideal state for man is the Edenic state, which we're not in right now, and we haven't been for a while, right? Whatever you want to deem that Edenic state to be, right? So we are no longer in an Edenic state. We can strive to get to that position of being in an Edenic state, But because we don't live in a vacuum, it's very hard to maintain that. And because a lot of people need reprogramming to come back into culture, it becomes very difficult. I hope the things that I'm saying right now is not like going over too many people's head. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys like what I'm saying, hit 1. I know I want to bring out some documents. You know how I do with the source citations and all that other stuff. But if you like the stuff that I'm saying, I just felt like I wanted to empower some people out there. Hit 1 if you enjoy it. If the audio and video is working still, hit 1. Hit 1 if you like it, and hit 1 if everything's working well. All right, hit 1, family. All right, hope you're enjoying this. Okay, I see that I'm getting cut off. I think y'all just looking at my mouth. I need to fix that. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me fix that. Let me zoom out a little bit. All right, so this way y'all can see me. All right, my fault, family. Sorry if you just see me coming close to the mic, talking to it like this. I mean, you only seeing my mouth. All right, I'm doing that because my if you see, let me show you guys. Let me show you guys so you can see. See this? This is my mic. It's right here. And sometimes this mic it captures audio really well, but sometimes it captures it in the audio is very low. Okay. So that's why you see me come up so close, because I want to make sure that it's capturing everything that I'm saying. Let me resituate that. Okay. All right, family. So Romanticism has to die, right? We cannot have Romanticism. It leads to ego. It leads to worshiping of self, and it puts self above the main assignment that the Most High has for the children of Israel, which is to be a beacon of light unto the nations until he comes to restore the remnant of Israel. Okay. So, all right, I see some ones there. All right. Let me know if you guys can see me clearly now. The Watcher says, are you saying other powers existed as contemporaries of the Most High? Contemporaries in the sense that they were in existence at the same time he was in existence, yes. But there's no entity that has equal power to the Most High. So I just want to make sure that's clear. That's what henotheism means, right? Even though there's multiple powers, one is always singled out to being supreme above the rest, and not supreme in a sense where polytheistic cultures had it, where any deity can vie for power or supremacy. With the Hebrew ancient Israelite culture, that was not the case. Elyon was always supreme, and no other power can usurp that. Even when you look at the Ugaritic text, El in Ugaritic text was always supreme, but the difference between El in the Ugaritic text and El in the Israelite culture was that El in the Israelite culture is more intimate with his creation and intimate with events that occur in the heavenly realm and the earthly realm. In the Ugaritic text, El is more distant, and he plays a very distant role in the events that occur, and he allows things to play out on his own. And he only responds to things when he is invoked or when he is contacted. Otherwise, he allowed things to happen. And when you look at the Ugaritic text, you'll see the battles between storm god, and they will always have these battles, and one would win, one would lose, and these things were constant because it was vying for supremacy. This is not in the Israelite culture. There's no vying for supremacy. Even when people mention Hashatan, which I'm going to say this, Hashatan is not one entity. Let me say it again. Hashatan is not one entity, and Lucifer, which comes from the Latin lucis, is an interpolation. There's no such pre-exilic entity called Lucifer. You cannot find Lucifer in anything during the Iron Age period. It doesn't exist, right? So it was something that was crafted up during the Middle Age period, or later on in development of the church, where it came from the Latin rendering. And there's a book. I gave this to my students before. I'm gonna see if I can find it again. I think this is it. Damn, I read this book a while ago. Hold on. Let me give this to y'all real quick. I think this is it. Oh man. Hold on, family. I'm trying to find this book for y'all, man. It's a great book. Damn, what is it? What is it called? What is it called? What is it called? What is it called? I think this is it. No, this is not it. My bad, family. I'm probably gonna remember it. Damn, I'm probably gonna remember it the next time. Yeah, the next time I get on, I'm gonna remember it. But pretty much what it is, it's a book that gives you the history of Lucifer and show you his origins. But not to digress, Hashatan is not one entity, right? Hashatan is whatever the adversary is. Even the Most High became Hashatan to the children of Israel, according to the scribes that wrote the book of Kings and Samuel and Chronicles, right? So we have situation where Hashatan just means an antagonistic adversary to something, right? So whenever the Most High afflicted the children of Israel, he became Hashatan to them, right? Whenever they was in the will of the Most High and they received affliction from elsewhere because they knew they was being afflicted by the Most High by way of the prophets, then they would know it was another entity that was doing it. The Most High's affliction is for good. The enemy's affliction is to drive the children of Israel away from the authority of the Most High, okay? So you'll know when you're being afflicted, if this affliction is designed to bring you closer to the Most High or drive you away to the Most High, you know who's responsible for that affliction, okay? And we see that in the book of Job, where the Most High allowed affliction from Job to occur to see if he would deviate away from the Most High. But anyway, Hashatan could be Belal, Hashatan could be Baal, Hashatan could be Azazel, Hashatan could be a litany of entities. But it's whoever was the acting adversary at the time has the title Hashatan. It's not a personal noun. Even the word Lucifer comes from Halal, which literally means to howl. It's not even a personal name, right? When you go back and you read the text. And it's very deep when you go back and read it, because I'll get into that another time. But the most important thing to note is that there's good, bad, and ugly in every culture. And Romanticism kills the transparency that the culture has left behind. And we fall victim to Romanticism because we have been lost without identity for so long. When we latch onto something that gives us a sense of authority, excuse me, sorry about that. I had to check out a message I got. That we tend to become egomaniacs, and we tend to have this sense of superiority. Instead of looking at our state of identity as being distinct and giving us a greater obligation for being chosen, because there's a greater responsibility that we have, right? Like the Spider-Man series goes, with much power comes much responsibility. And as the children of Yah, that's what we have. We've been given the dunamis power that we say in the Greek, which is the enabling authority to impose your will on something. We've been given that. But the problem is we've been displacing that the wrong way. And we wonder why we're not getting all the results that we're looking for, family. And this is me just being a heart-to-heart with y'all tonight, right? This is, I guess, this is the direction I'm going tonight. The devil don't want you revealing his secrets. What's your thought on Hashatan and the anger of the Most High? Never mind, you just covered it. Okay, do a lesson on that one because it should be saying something about his character. The morning star, family. What is the morning star? What is the morning star? And when you understand that title, the morning star is a title that can be applied to various entities. You know, you get people who are not familiar with textual criticism, and they'll freak out when they see morning star mentioned in the Nevi'im and then mentioned later on in the book of Revelation and this freak out. It's a title. Just like El is a title. Elohim is a title. It's a title. Baal can also be a title or a personal name. It's a title and it represents something. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all go into that. Are you part of a Greek fraternity? No, not part of a Greek fraternity. I'm not a Freemason. I'm not part of any kind of secret society, anything like that. I shun those things. It's not for me. Maybe for the people, it's not for me. So I'm none of those things. All right. So I just want to give that to y'all so y'all understand that, because I see people asking these type of questions. Very interesting question at that. Let me see. Somebody says I'm dodging a question. What's the question? What's the question, people in the book? I don't know what your question is. I think it was something you probably asked me from before, probably. And I'm not dodging questions. It's just that certain questions are going to require for me to do a whole separate session on, you know. And what I try to do is I try to touch on a lot of things that people say. And at the same time, I like to, shout out to Anunnaki Osset, who joined in. But anyway, I'm not avoiding questions. It's just that it requires an entire session to do. And I have to devote my time to answering that question appropriately, because being a perfectionist, I want to make sure I don't leave no stone unturned. You guys know, when you guys see my lectures, do you see how long those lectures? I never intend, to be honest with you, I only intend for my lectures to be an hour long. People will laugh at me. That's the truth. I only intend for it to be an hour long. But unfortunately, even the information that I pack in a 2-hour lecture, a 3-hour lecture, is the abridged version of the information. I have so much information that I sit on. It's impossible for me to even expound on any of it in one lifetime. I just can't do it. So when a person asks me a question and I set time aside to meditate on it, to be led by the Ruach, to actually diligently and meticulously address all the points of that inquiry and be able to present a full-fledged lecture behind it, just know a lot of care was put into the question you asked me. And I want to make sure that I don't give a short answer that does disservice and injustice to what can really be contained in an answer if it's well thought out of and formally addressed. All right. So I just want to make sure I give that, because I'm going to be held accountable for what I share. Right. And this is why I take teaching very seriously. And I never ask for this. Right. Because I know the great responsibility that comes behind it. Right. Because you're responsible for altering people's life decisions in the courses in which they walk on, right? Or they're traveling on. And that's a very serious ordeal. And I see that a lot of people do not take that seriously. Right. But anyway, he said, thoughts on Roll's timeline. Just looking, are you talking about the Exodus? Because, I have people that want to debate me on the Exodus within our community, and people who are Christians, right, who have their worldview of the Exodus. And I thought that was interesting. Again, my position is, and if you guys follow my work, you watch the Minority Report, you watch Revisiting Exodus 12:37, how many Israelites actually exited out of Egypt. You watch, was deciphering the Meginecha necessary to formulate the ancient Hebrew Abjad. You go back and watch Crows on a Straw Man Part 1. You'll see my position in regards to the Exodus, right? I propose that the Israelites, through Yosef and Yaakov, or Israel's sons and family, came in during the 12th dynasty, and they stayed there in the land for 430 years, and then they left out during the 18th dynasty. That's my position. Now, there's 3 angles on it, and then there's, out of the 3 major perspectives on the Exodus, there's 3 major perspectives, and there's people who have modified forms of these 3 different versions, right? So I have a modified form of one of the mainstream versions. One of the versions state that the Israelites came in during the 12th dynasty and they left out at the end of the 13th dynasty going into the 14th dynasty, right? They left out during the Middle Kingdom before the Hyksos came in. That's one perspective, right? And a great proponent of that is David Rowe. Me and David Rowe agree on a lot of things up until the Exodus, right? Then that's what we disagree. The entrance, what happened in Kemet, all the way up to the Exodus is where we disagree, right? Then you have the second perspective or second version, which is that the Israelites came in during the 12th dynasty. They stayed there the whole time, even during the entrance and leaving out an exodus of the Hyksos, and they left out during the 18th dynasty. So that's my perspective with modifications. The final perspective is people who take the traditional route, which is the Israelites came in during the late Middle Kingdom and left out during the 19th dynasty during the reign of Ramses II, right? And that is the more embellished version that we see in the movies and stuff like that. But there's people that still subscribe to that perspective. And interestingly enough, the people who subscribe to the last Exodus model are individuals who are secularists, right? Because there's a lack of evidence for the entrance in Exodus during that last model. So a lot of secularists like to cleave onto that because it helps to disprove the ethnogenesis of the Israelites and their Exodus account, right? But the people who cling to the first two models are people who typically see some truth in the text or some historicity in the text, right? And I'm going to be doing, probably by the end of the year or the beginning of next year, I'm going to be doing another lecture giving you more evidence of the Exodus. Man, I have so much stuff on the Exodus. Man, if people, I mean, what you see in the Minority Report, 900 slides, I didn't even get through. That's not even all the information. I have more information than what's in the Minority Report on the Exodus alone and the ethnogenesis of the Israelites. I have a lot of information. So when people make this claim that the Exodus didn't occur, I mean, it's really, I never really asked, but do you subscribe to the chart? Are you talking about the 12 tribes chart? Navia? No, I don't subscribe to the 12 tribes chart. There's no way for us to know with 100% certainty who is who, right? As far as the distinction amongst tribes. You know, I know the doctrine. I'm very familiar with it, but I do not subscribe to it. And I'll save my position on that at another time. Am I saying that the people who subscribe to it are absolutely 100% incorrect? No. What I'm saying is, from my research, which helps to shape and mold my perspective, I don't subscribe to it, right? What my position is, a lot of the so-called Negroes in America who can be traced back as being Israelites, if we look at the tribes that they came from in West Africa who claim to have Israelite historicity and lineage, none of them say that they're from Judah. So that's something deep. We get Gad, Dan, Naphtali, Bene Moshe. We don't get a lot of West Africans saying they're from Judah, right? A lot of that came from Americans' evolution of identifying what specific tribe the American Negroes were here in this continent. But I digress. I'm noticing that Israel and Kemet share history. Yes, they do, because they have been side by side since the ethnogenesis of the ancient Israelites. Both cultures have been there. But I need you guys to understand it's important, right? And this is why next year I'm going to start doing more lectures on ancient Kemet. I have a lot of information on ancient Kemet. Man, I have a lot of information. And I have interviews with professors, and man, I have a lot of stuff. I'll bring it out next year. But when people fail to realize is that and I said this before, you cannot study the 2% of the elite and think it represents the 98%. It doesn't happen. You think if they go and something happens to our civilization and aliens come and they inspect our planet, and the only information that survived was from the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, the Rothschilds, do you think that if they went and saw that information and they said, "Oh man, we're studying these humans, and look at their culture. Look how they lived in their culture. Look what they did. They flew in jets and they had banks and all of this." That does not represent the 98%. This is where Romanticism comes in, and people tend to look at the 2% and think everybody lived like the 2%. No, even in ancient Israel, the difference is ancient Israel had checks and balances by way of Torah, where Torah normalized the society and forced equity. How? The Jubilee. The Jubilee forced equity amongst the people so that nobody would be enslaving somebody else. We had checks and balances by way of the mitzvot that's being shared. Now, was there checks and balances in ancient Kemet? Yes, there was. But the legal code, the codification of the legal code was not preserved to this day. But what I'm going to do is reconstruct it, right? So that way I can give you some of the legal code that existed back then. But there was no form of codification because a lot of it changed from dynasty to dynasty, from kingdom period to kingdom period, from Nasut to Nasut. A lot of things changed and was not consistent. Even when you look at the so-called 42 negative confessions, they're not congruent with each other. Why? Because different environmental factors influenced certain behaviors during different periods of time, right? And we see that in any ancient civilization, okay? Let me see. Do you have to wait next year for my ancient Kemet lectures? Yes, I want to get Israel out the way this year. I'll deal with Kemet next year, right? And I'll be teaching on it. And you guys are going to be seeing footage from me teaching at universities. That's what we're getting at. That's why I got to keep a low profile until we make it there. I'm going to start lecturing more at university. I've done a few already, but I'm going to be doing way more in the coming future, all right? And that's why I'm really going to need you guys' support. How long were the Israelites in Egypt? 250 years, again, goes with the Middle Kingdom entrance in Exodus. And what it does is that people who subscribe to being Israelites here in America, their position is that when we look at the Samaritan Pentateuch, when we look at the Septuagint, when we look at these sources, it says that the sojourn of 430 years consisted of both the being in Canaan and being both in Egypt. The term sojourn does not equate to captivity. It just means that you're in somebody else's land and you're dwelling there for a specified period of time. But they don't take into account is that the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Masoretic text, which is far removed from each other by at least 1,000 years, right? They both agree with each other and they only have Mizraim in there. They don't have Canaan in there, right? So we have different traditions, and this is why I tell people there's no one text that's the authority, because we don't have the autographs. The autographs have not been preserved. So we have a Septuagint translation, which came from an earlier Hebrew text. The Septuagints that we have today, they're not contemporary to the time in which they were actually translated, right? According to the story, right? The Dead Sea Scrolls, on the other hand, was preserved in its original state by the people who scribed it. So that means that would be more original in a sense where the Dead Sea authors separated, removed themselves from mainstream society, whereas which the individuals who translated the Septuagint were part of mainstream society and worked on behalf of, guess who? The Greeks. That's interesting. Not saying that the Septuagint is not good to utilize. It is. But you have to textually compare it with everything else, and you got to deduce. So how do you deduce from textual criticism? How do you deduce so that way you can get to what the original or proposal, what the original may have said? You have to look for the lowest common denominator. So if I have translations that's saying Canaan in Egypt, translation that's just saying Egypt, and I look at them textually to compare them, and I say, okay, what do they have in common? What is the lowest common denominator? The lowest common denominator is Egypt. So that means that would tell me that, and this is a proposal, that the addendum of the Canaan situation that's there was part of one tradition, right? And more than likely, the original tradition had just Mizraim, and then later on, Canaan was attributed to that. And when you study history, you'll see why. Man, I think I should really do a lecture on that, man. Let's listen to the stuff I'm saying. This is heavy. So there's no one authoritative text in regards to the scriptures. There are thousands of them that's out there. There's no one authoritative text. So you have to utilize deductive methods of analyzing the text from an inductive perspective, looking at textual criticism, history, archaeology, etc., comparative cultures, to ascertain what was going on and what inspired what was written, right? When we take it for face value, we are really doing a disservice to the past, right? And trying to figure out what's going on. Now, Arius, that would be a 3 to 7-day lecture. That would be almost a week lecture. Whenever I speak on something, I only speak if I can substantiate it, which means that I have all the data to verify what it is that I'm saying to you guys. And I share this incrementally, you know, in these type of forums or in my lectures or so forth. But anyway, let me see what else is in here. Is there a difference in the Talmud you talk of and the Babylonian Talmud of the Jewish people? Well, there's two Talmuds. There's the Jerusalem Talmud and the Babylonian Talmud, and they were put together by two different groups of people, and they some places they agree in, some places they disagree in. So when you want to look up, when you want to textually compare the Talmud, just type in Jerusalem Talmud, Babylonian Talmud, and textual criticism, and you'll be able to compare and contrast the similarities and differences between those two. Because a lot of times when people say Talmud and they're not too studied, they tend to make references to the Jerusalem Talmud and claim it's part of the Babylonian Talmud, which goes to show me and others that they're not reading the actual text. They're getting something off the internet, or they heard somebody say something. They haven't actually read it. The Talmud is a very comprehensive work. I have not read all the Talmud. I read a lot, but I've not read all of it. It's too much. And I'm not that interested in it to read the whole thing. So I have not read all the Talmud, but from what I have read, I've referenced the things that I've read in both Talmuds. I've not finished both of them. But I've read a good amount of it, you know what I'm saying? So that way I can have my ears open when I hear people reference it and I know what they're talking about, right? But at the same time, I'm smart enough to know when to shut up and listen to somebody who's more studied than me. This is how I soak things in, right? I'm a student before I'm a teacher. So I'm willing to learn something from somebody, even if they're not a teacher, but everybody has something you can learn from them from. Everybody in this chat room, I can learn something from everybody in here. Nobody withholding. Everybody here I can learn something from. And when you guys speak in here, I learn from you guys. So this is a two-way communication thing that we're doing here, right? The paleo writings in regards to found amongst the Cherokee Nation. That's another good lecture. I'll probably get into another time. Some of it is authentic. Some of it is not authentic. My subscription is that there were 3 waves of people that came over here to the Americas. The first ones were the ones that came via the Bering Strait into the Americas. The second one was a wave. Well, the first one, excuse me. First one was a wave of people from West Africa migrating over to South America. Another wave was from people coming over through the Bering Strait, and another wave of people coming from the area of the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of the Levant, making their way over here to America. So those are the 3 peoples or populations that came over here first, migrated around, intermingled around, and they make up the peoples that are here in Americas, right? Some people believe in a Pangea theory. I don't subscribe to the Pangea theory, but some people do, where they believe that certain peoples were you know, all the land masses was one, or when you look at all the continents, you put them all together, but they're not factoring a lot of things such as the tectonic plates underneath the earth, certain parts of it that does not fit because there's certain things in the lithosphere that changes, that differs. But people say there's certain animals that you find that are indigenous to one region that you find in another region. There's no way that it could be there unless everything was together. So the Pangean doctrine is a separate doctrine. I don't subscribe to it. I'm familiar with it, but I don't subscribe to it. But like I said, over here in the Americas, I believe there were 3 waves of migrations, one from the Levant, one from West Africa, and one via the Bering Strait, and they all converged upon this landmass, right? Let me see. Latoya loves locks. Yes, I'm going to do that lecture on henotheism. That's going to be that's a powerful lecture. I know the video I did has almost 5,000 views on it. And for my channel that has almost 5,000 subscribers, that's a pretty big number. And I'll be getting a lot of messages via email and inbox on Facebook of people asking about that lecture. So that lecture, I probably would close the year off with that lecture, right? But the one I want to get out after that would be the Minority Report Part 2. So I'm going to do that. But like I said, man, I got so much information on the Exodus. It's crazy when people say there's no such thing as an Exodus. It's myth and it's folklore and all of that. It's really crazy. But anyway, all right. I know y'all asking a lot of questions. I want to all right, so for just looking, he made a comment, right? I want to share something in here so that way he can see. Hold on, family. I want to grab something real quick. Hold on, family. Hold on. Isaiah 66, typical and atypical. Yeah, I could do a little lesson on that. Remember, family, my objective is to do this full time for y'all, so I can address every question that y'all ask me, because that's what my desire is. I don't want to leave anybody out in the cold. I want anybody to feel like I'm not responding to them, their inquiry, their question. I want to get to everybody, right? So this is why I'm working diligently to transition to doing this full time for you guys, so that way I can address all your inquiries, and I will do it soon, right? Yes, just looking, we on the same page. If you read the article, that's exactly what I posted. So it's good that we on the same page about it. That's interesting. All right, family. So let me show y'all some stuff before I go, because I'm getting tired. Let me show y'all some stuff before I go. All right, so just give me 1 second. Hold on. Let's see. What did I want to share with y'all today? Hold on, family. Give me a second. What's this? Let me see. All right. So how many of y'all are familiar with this? You check it in. Ether Queen says, I thought Jabari was your father. Really? No, Jabari is not my father. What? That's crazy. That means he would have had me at the age of 12, 11, 12. No, Jabari is not my father. I don't know if that was serious or that was a joke, but he's not my father. Yeah, Negroid is definitely it's a misnomer, right? When you study Blumenbach, you'll understand where this came from, right? You'll go back and study Blumenbach, and you'll see what I'm talking about, right? Right, so matter of fact, let me see if I can Matter of fact, let me share that with y'all then. I want to share that with y'all. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Click on that, download this, right? Download that PDF and read it. All right? Download that and read it, right? I don't know what's going on. Can y'all see me? Dang. Can y'all see me? Hit 1 if you can hear me and see me. Hit 1. Hit 1 if you can hear and if you can see me. All right. Yeah, there was some kind of outage with my modem and it killed the connection. I don't know what's going on. But it killed the connection and that's why there was a black screen. I was surprised it even got restored like this, but whatever. But yeah, I'm back. I guess that's a sign for me to sign off. But I see for some reason y'all want me to stay on, and half the people are gone now because that occurred. I apologize for that, family. I don't know what happened, but I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm gonna show one more last thing, and I'm gonna be out the way. Let's see. All right. We got the PF though. Please stay on and finish. All right. Are you debating Jabbar anytime soon? No, I'm not debating Jabbar anytime soon. I will see him when I get to New York. I don't know when it may pop off then, but it's not going to be no formal debate. And there's no need for me to debate him because Crows on a Straw Man, it kills any kind of future debate I would have with him, right? But anyway, so we back, family. Let me look up some stuff. I think I downloaded it though. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna show y'all this. Hopefully it loads up. I don't know what's going on now. I'm gonna show this to y'all to help y'all with your studies. So you can see one of the tools that I use to help me become very efficient at what I do while I look for this other document. So let me share my screen real quick. Let me share my screen. All right. All right, so if you can see this here is a poster that deals with a wide range of logical fallacies, right? And what I do is I use my understanding of these in order to dismember my opponent's arguments, right? So we have the straw man misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. False cause, presuming that a real or perceived relationship between things means that one is the cause of the other. And this right here is what we say a lot. We say that correlation does not equal causation. That's what's called a false cause. Ad hominem, attacking the opponent's character or personal traits in an attempt to undermine the argument. Slippery slope, asserting that if we will allow A to happen, then Z will consequently happen too. Therefore, A should not happen. Special pleading, moving the goalposts or making up exceptions when a claim is shown to be false. A loaded question, asking a question that has an assumption built into it so that it can't be answered without appearing guilty, right? And this is what happens on Sonetta a lot, right? The gambler's fallacy, bandwagon, appeal to authority, composition division, appeal to nature, begging the question, black or white, where two alternative states are presented as the only possibilities when in fact more possibilities exist, right? No true Scotsman, making what could be called an appeal to purity as a way to dismiss relevant criticisms or flaws in an argument. The Texas sharpshooter, cherry picking data clusters to suit an argument or finding a pattern to fit a presumption. Middle ground, saying that a compromise or middle point between two extremes must be the truth. Genetic, judging something good or bad on the basis of where it comes from. Ambiguity. This is used a lot by people, using double meanings or ambiguities of language to mislead or misrepresent the truth. This is why I always say that when it comes to communication, we must agree on terms. Otherwise, we're gonna be having a very ambiguous conversation where we're adding connotations to terms, and it's very difficult to have a productive conversation that way. All right. Personal incredulity, saying that because one finds something difficult to understand, it's therefore not true. Appeal to emotion, the fallacy of fallacies, right? So this is a nice chart that I had somewhere. I had it somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but this is the digital version of it. If y'all interested in this chart, email me and I'll send it to y'all. But this is a good way to be able to identify faulty argumentation from an opponent. You got to look for these things, right? And these are the things I look for when I'm debating somebody to disable their argument, right? But that's just something that's neither here nor there. All right. So really, I'm trying to look for seeing the camera went back to all right, there we go. So, oh man, okay, getting tired, family. Let's see. Yes, there was a stream of people that crossed the Bering Strait into the Americas. But it was not the only stream that came over here, and that's the fallacy of Orthodox anthropology, where they say that the indigenous peoples of America was only populated by people who came from the continent of Asia by means of the Bering Strait here over to the Americas. So there was more than one stream or one entrance into this mainland from 3 different sources, and it wasn't one, and they converged and certain things occurred. And this is why we see different phenotypes amongst the peoples. We see different shapes of craniums when doing craniometrics. We see different cultic items, burial customs and cultures that differ amongst the peoples over here, which are all ethnic markers to, to tell us that there was a convergence of multiple peoples that came over here. All right. So hopefully that assists with that. But if y'all are interested in, if y'all was interested in that chart that I showed y'all with theological fallacies, I definitely like to equip people who follow this channel. So if y'all want that, email me kingdomharmony@gmail.com and I'll send it to y'all. But let me show y'all some stuff, man. Do y'all want to see some information on? I'm gonna give y'all some options. Do you want to see some information on 4 things, right? I'm gonna do this right now because I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. Do you want to see some information on ancient Kemet? If you want to see some information on ancient Kemet, press 1. If you want to see some information on ancient Israel, press 2. If you want to see some information on health, press 3. And if you want to see ancient information on some kind of conspiracy X type information, press 4. 1 ancient Kemet, 2 ancient Israel, 3 health, 4 some kind of conspiratorial type of information. Right? So I'm gonna give you some options. I'm gonna share that, and then I'm going to bed. All right, because I'm tired. So 1 is ancient Kemet, 3 is health, 4 is conspiracy, 2 is Israel. Oh no, y'all can't pick. You can't pick 2. You got to pick 1. You can't pick all of them. You got to pick 1. 2s. I see 4s. A lot of 4s and 2s. Man, y'all like. All right. All right, let's see. Let me. Okay, how about this? I'm going to show you something real briefly on everyone. Okay, I'm going to show you something on ancient Kemet, ancient Israel, health, and something regarding some kind of conspiratorial type stuff, right? Because I have a lot of information I just want to get out to you guys, okay? So I'm going to show you all of it, right? So let me go to the first one. First one is ancient Kemet, right? So let me pull from my ancient Kemet database. I have a huge database. Let me find something to share with y'all. Something interesting. Let me see what I got for y'all. Let me see. Matter of fact, I think do y'all want me just to share something with y'all? I can give y'all a PDF or something like that, or I don't know what y'all want. If you want me to show it, I can show it, or oh, here's a great book, right? PDF right here. Let me see. Oh, that's not it. Where is it at? Hold on, family. Let me see. Here's a good one right here. So to those of y'all that are into ancient Kemet, I'm going to here's a PDF. If y'all want it, I'm gonna show it to y'all. Let me show it to y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Sometimes I post stuff from this. All right. So let me share my screen. Share screen. All right. Here's a book called Gifts for the Gods, Images from Egyptian Temples, right? And this is for people who like Kemetic art. And I use it because it enhances my knowledge of ancient Kemet. So if I'm on the defensive and I have to defend the ancient Israelite culture against ancient Kemet, or people who romanticize the culture and try to attack or infringe upon my cultural identity, then I'm those of y'all who live out of the state of New York and may have never be able to make it to the Metropolitan Museum of Art to see these things. I'm going to show you some things that are there, actually there, that are worth seeing. And I can send this document to you if y'all want to see, right? So let me go through. Let me show y'all some of the stuff that. Oh, this is Senuseret, censer lid with prostrate King Senuseret with detail of the face to the left. Right here, this is him laying prostrate. Middle Kingdom, Senuseret the second, Middle Kingdom. This is supposed to be Set nursing Isis. I mean, Heru. That's a treasurer. There's a nice little interesting image right here. Hepu, New Kingdom, early 18th dynasty, copper alloy, solid cast with hammered staff, silver electrum, attribute in hand, hammered copper alloy sheet over wood base. That's this right here. All right. I'm just this look at this as me taking y'all through a brief tour through the Metropolitan Museum. All right, Kneeling King. They said this is Tut Amkunum, right? Hair. Oh, processional bark. Man, this is y'all need to go and research what this processional bark is. This is a very deep thing. A lot of oracles are done through this processional bark, where if you get a yes, it would get heavy. If you get a no, nothing would happen, right? This is very interesting of things that they had, right? This is a standing Amarna king. And where's the Amarna kings at? Let's see if y'all know, right? Let's see what else we got going on here. A kneeling official, fragment of a wig. Head of a royal woman on a lid of a canopic jar. You know, the canopic jars is where they keep organs and other valuables in after the nasut dies or the person dies. They store them in these canopic jars, all right? This is Kanum right here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Because the ram head is Kanum, so provenance unknown, said to be from Saqqara. So provenance means the origin. They don't know where it came from. This is probably on an antiquities market that was sold to them. But you can see the crown on top of Kanum, right? Detailed of the kilt that he's wearing. That's the back. The Netter's wife of Amun, Karo Mana, 22nd dynasty. Mid-9th century BC from Karnak, Thebes. All right. So if anybody's interested in art, because I love art, I think art is a very fascinating way to get insight into a culture, right? So if anybody's into this type of stuff and you want this PDF, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com and I'll share that for you. So it's a reference. You know, I've looked over it. It's been a while since I looked at this book, but I pull it out once in a while just to sometimes I take art images and I post it on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. I may use it in a lecture, right? And then what I'll probably do another time is break down all this Metunecha for you guys, because I'm stepping up my Metunecha game, man. I'm stepping up my Metunecha game, and I'm gonna read this for y'all. I'm gonna point one thing out for you. This guy, this right here, Necha. This can be a great god. This can be a priest, right? When we're looking at here. So yeah, I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into breaking this stuff down for y'all another time. But anyway, so that's there for ancient Kemet, some art. Let me get you guys something from for ancient Israel. Let me pull something out the stash. Let's see what we got. Oh wait, what's this? Oh. All right, let's pull something out. Let's see what we're gonna pull out for pull something out from here. Okay, I seen your message, Shawnee. I got you. Somebody says no conspiracy. All right. Let's see. Let's pull something out from the stash. Anything can come from out of the stash, family. Let's just see. Let me do. Let's go into archaeology. Archaeology. Before I talked about camel domestication. Let me see. Oh, here's a good book. This is not really Israel, but it's a good read nonetheless. Let me share my screen. All right, so this book here is called Prophecy in the Ancient Near East. And this is why doing comparative studies of other cultures is important, so you can understand the contextual framework in which the ancient Israelites operated and what made them distinct from other cultures. But prophecy is not exclusive to the Bible. I'm going to say it again. Prophecy is not exclusive to the Bible. The Bible has its own distinct prophecies, but prophecy as a literary mechanism to convey the eschatological nature of a future event is not exclusive to the Bible, okay? So this book right here is a great read. It's called Prophecy in the Ancient Near East. And when I take you through so you can see here the contents, right? Prophecy in Old Babylonian sources, right? Prophecy in Neo-Assyrian sources, comparison and conclusion, etc. But the intro is really the most important things because it gives you things from Egypt, the Hittites, the Ugaritic, Aramaic inscriptions. The Allah, this is where the Balaam inscription is found, right? The Balaam inscription, I brought this out in one of my lectures, which goes to substantiate the existence of a character named Balaam extra biblically, right? Bible. So this is a great reference. And if anybody wants it, email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Excellent read. And I definitely encourage you guys to go and read that. All right. So now let's get into health. Let's get into health. Let's see. Let's pick something on health. Let's see. Let's see. Give me a second, family. I want to pull something up. What's this? Oh, shoot. I never verified this article. It's called Magic Johnson Donates Blood to Leukemia and Lymphoma Patients. Los Angeles, California. The month of September is recognized as the National Leukemia and Lymphoma Awareness Month. During the month of September, leukemia and lymphoma awareness is a focus across the world, informing people on screenings, treatments, and its prevalence in the world. Leukemia and lymphoma are described as cancerous hematologic malignancies, which both involve blood. American Cancer Society estimates that there will be 54,791 new cases of leukemia and 22,475 deaths in 2014. Then it goes into lymphoma. It says retired NBA star Irvin Magic Johnson has decided to run a blood drive in conjunction with the American Red Cross to support the National Awareness Month for Leukemia and Lymphoma. So far, Johnson has had a of, I don't know what that means, a of 1,827 donors, including himself, and saved about 438 patients so far. Many people are finding it odd and a bit terrifying that Johnson is donating his blood as well, since he has been diagnosed as HIV plus since November 1991. Since then, it has been reported that Magic's HIV cell count remains so low that it's considered dormant. Although considered dormant, the virus still lives within Johnson, right? And the virus can be eradicated, just so you guys know. So this is a very interesting article. Let me show it to y'all, man. Y'all need to see what this looks like. This is interesting. Hold on. See this? There you go. So I haven't verified this article is true or not, but I thought it was very interesting to share. All right. So let me get into some real health stuff. Let's see. Where's that? There it is right here. All right. Let's go to and I didn't forget the atopic dermatitis lecture is still going to be done. I promise you guys I will put that out as soon as possible whenever I get time, because it's going to require at least 2 to 3 hours to go through one slides of information that can change your life. And anybody that suffers from atopic dermatitis, this lecture is going to change your life. I can't say I guarantee it, but I can say with a great deal of certainty that it will impact your life. For those people who are suffering or have family members or know people that are suffering from it, right? Let me see. Dang, I can't find what I wanted to show y'all. Let me see. Let me get this last thing. Maybe I can, it could be a mixture of both. What's this? No, that's not it. Can't find what I'm looking for, family. Haha. Here's an interesting article. Yeah, I mean, that's... Oh, man. This right here is crazy. This has to do with the beneficial use of viruses and how they use viruses in order to alter the genes of people, right? And they call it a form of gene therapy. I don't know if you're interested in that. It's a part of what's called pharmacogenetics, where they cater particular medications to particular people who are disposed with certain, who has a disposition of certain genome, right? Who have specific genes within a pool of people. They cater or curtail medication and drugs to those group of ethnic group of people, so that way it doesn't affect anybody else outside of that gene pool who may take the drug, right? But they also do this with viruses as well. They have weaponized viruses, right? They even use mosquitoes to transmit viruses to kill off groups of people. It's a lot of interesting stuff. I have documents on that. I definitely would love to share that with y'all. But I was trying to find something in particular that I want to share with y'all. Whatever happened to Ebola in America, huh? That just died off, right? One of the most deadly diseases on the planet, and it's gone. Interestingly, swept under the rug. Again, that's, you know, it's a sleight of hand. A smoke and mirrors designed to distract you away from something that's really occurring. All right. I can't really find. I mean, here's an article on pharmacogenetics. I want you guys to see this. I definitely want to show y'all this. All right. So let me put this on the screen. Hold on one second. There you go. All right. Clinical genetic testing has grown substantially over the past 30 years as the causative mutations for Mendelian diseases have been identified, particularly aided in part by recent advances in molecular basic facilitates the appropriate use of new genetic tests. Although the field of pharmacogenetics was established in the 1950s, clinical testing for constitutional pharmacogenetic variants implicated in inter-individual drug response variability has only recently become available to help clinicians guide pharmacotherapy, in part due to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration mediated product insert revisions that include pharmacogenetic information for selected drugs. However, despite pharmacogenetic association with adverse outcomes, patient uptake of clinical pharmacogenetic testing has been slow. Compared with testing for Mendelian diseases, pharmacogenetic testing for certain indications can have a lower positive predictive value, which is one reason for underutilization. A number of other barriers remain with implementing clinical pharmacogenetics, including clinical utility, professional education, regulatory and reimbursement issues, among others. This review presents some of the current opportunities and challenges with implementing clinical pharmacogenetic testing. Now, why is that important? Because you can curtail drugs to an individual, to an ethnic group of people, to a gender, etc. So when you can weaponize medication, so that way when you use it in the form of an aerosol that is sprayed over a populace of people, you can single out and kill off one group of people while allowing others to live. And this was actually done. Man, I got to get into this with y'all, man. This was actually done. But the point I'm trying to make is that you'll have a situation where they can have a particular inoculation that they want to provide. And it could be a general inoculation that they give. And the medication that is actually in there, because, you know, all medicine does, modern medicine does, is inhibits metabolic processes, right? That's what its major function is to alleviate symptoms by inhibiting natural metabolic processes in order to divert the person's attention away from the real underlying issue, right? By alleviating the symptoms temporarily. But when a group or populace of people are inoculated purposely, and the medication that is in that needle, not the adjuvants that's in it that's used to jumpstart an immune response, but anything that they place in there that has been customized for a particular ethnic group of people, they can give this medication or this inoculation over a course of few years and thousands of people. And then what will happen is statistics will come back and it will show certain symptoms showing up in a particular ethnic group of people that is not showing in other ethnic group of people, and all of them have been exposed by the same inoculation. See, most people don't read the fine print of any kind of vaccines they take, and I'm not a fan of a vaccine. If the creator wanted us to take vaccines, it would be found naturally in nature, right? But vaccinations are not natural. And if you want optimal health, it's through supplements, diet, and exercise, right? But aside from that, tests has been done where certain inoculations have been given to a populace of people, and only certain ethnic groups have been adversely affected by it or developed some kind of unique symptoms that is not found in other ethnic groups. This is part of what's called pharmacogenetics, when you personalize medicine for a particular individual or for a particular populace of people. And this goes really deep. So when I do seminars on this, I first give you legit articles, right? This is from the National Institutes of Health, which is a source that is legit and that can be referenced, right? And this is a legit source. So what I do is I first lay down the concept, right, by using legit sources. And then from there, we do a paper trail, right? We go to see the patents for it, because after I show you the concepts, I show you the patents, I show you the holders of the patents, I show you where certain experiments were done, right? Because like I said, it's not just done with medicine, it's also done with viruses and other things. Matter of fact, let me show you the thing with the viruses. Hold on. Let me go get the thing with the virus so I can show you. If I could find it, man. I have so many documents on here. Let me see if I could go back and find that for y'all, because I want to show y'all how they weaponize medicine and how they weaponize bacteria and viruses. Matter of fact, they even weaponize a mycobacterium. Mycobacterium is a bacteria that's an intracellular parasite that infiltrates the cell and lives in the cell, similar to a virus, but the difference is the virus injects its RNA into the DNA and uses the DNA of the nucleus in order to manufacture other variants that then bud off and go and infect other cells. Whereas a mycoplasm or mycobacterium is a living organism that's not just transferring genetic information for the nucleus, which is the machinery, the central machinery or the CPU of the cell. It lives inside the cell. It feeds off the cytoplasm and other things that are in the cell. And what it does is that it causes an adverse situation where it hides within the cell and prevents the surface proteins from exposing an issue within a cell, which typically creates programmed cell death. So that way it can be elusive from the immune system. And these things have been weaponized. Man, I got to do a lecture on that. So first I show you the concepts, right? Then I show you the patents. Then I show you the holders of patents. Then I show you the places where, so you could trace to see where these actual medicines have been injected at, what, in vitro studies or experimentation that they've done after these inoculations. Then I show you the particular demographic of people that's been affected. And then I show you the long-term results of this, where certain things start to develop over time. And one thing I will say is that autism, look that up. Autism, one root for autism is certain vaccinations. And I get into a lecture on that. I have a lot of information on that. So with that being said, this is, some people would say conspiratory-esque, but it's not. It's not a conspiracy theory, because I have nothing but facts to back up everything. It's just that this information is not made readily available and not made public to people. And being that I live in Atlanta, I know people that work at the CDC, and you know, they put me on to certain things. Not anything that is like secretive that they can't, but just general information that is out there, but people just don't know where to search at. So they help point me in the right direction, and I find it. But actually, I found what I was looking for. I'm gonna, if y'all want this, I'll share both articles with y'all. All right, just give me 1 second and post it back up so y'all can see. Right. Beneficial use of viruses. While viruses are primarily known as pathogens, they can also be used for the benefit of humans. The most obvious is in the role in increasing our understanding of biology. The first genome sequences to be revealed were those of the viruses RNA bacteriophage MS2 and DNA bacteriophage alpha TAV 174. The basic technology of genetic manipulation was developed from studies with bacterial viruses, and viral elements are still widely used in such work. And the reverse flow of genetic information, RNA to DNA, was discovered from the work of the retroviridie, right? And this is the adenovirus, right? That we see here, that's being expressed here, right? And this is the glycoprotein that's poking out of it, sticking out of it, right? So what they do is that they give you viral vectors and use for clinical trials of gene therapy. They use viruses to alter your genes. And they go into this to show you how these things have advantages and disadvantages, how they can be utilized customarily to alter your genes. Cancer prevention and control. And I say that cancer prevention with quotations, right? Viral therapy, cancer-associated cellular antigens, virus-directed enzyme pro-drug therapy. Man, this stuff is heavy, family. But if y'all want this, let me know. I send it off to y'all, and y'all can examine it. It says oculated virus applied to plants or released by infected insects. Insects eat virus in the occlusion bodies. Insect dies from resulting infection, then disintegrates, releasing occluded virus onto plant, where it can then infect new hosts. And the occlusion bodies dissolve in gut. Released virus infects gut cells, then enters body. It flows this way. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong way. So what they do is that they spray a virus onto a plant, right? In little droplets. They have the caterpillar eat it. It goes into the gut. And this is why probiotics is very important as a way to buffer viruses from entering and other adverse bacteria from entering into the bloodstream by way of the gastrointestinal tract. And that's one of my first lines of defense for health, because 70% of the immune system is in the gut. And this is very important that we detox regularly, that we have our multi-enzymes, we have our multi-enzymes and our probiotics in order to buffer against what we will call stomach virus. Now, you ever hear of stomach virus? You shouldn't be getting stomach viruses, right? Nobody should be getting that. Sometimes that's a misdiagnosis too. But anyway, so what they do is that this is how they use viruses, right, in order to change the DNA of species of insects, plants, and even people. This is heavy stuff, family. Heavy stuff, man, heavy stuff. But anyway, it's getting late. It's 5:30. I'm tired, about to go to bed. Thank you guys for staying up with me. Hopefully you enjoyed everything that I shared on this session. Sorry for the little outage earlier, but we're back on track. But anyway, with that being said, I love you, family. Thank you for watching. I'm probably going to have another Freestyle Friday in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from now will be the next Freestyle Friday, since y'all seem to like this a lot. In the interim, you guys can subscribe, if you're not already subscribed, to Kingdom Harbinger Ministries on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram at Kingdom Moments. I'm going to put all this information here so you guys can see. Okay, so you can get me on Instagram, Facebook, and email, right? So I just want to make sure you guys have access to this in case you want to follow me, in case you want to inbox me, in case you want to email me, right? I hope you enjoyed this session. If anybody wants the information I shared today, please, when you email me, please cite what source I referenced so I can grab it immediately and send it to you. So when you watch it, give me the time marker and the name of the source, and I'll send it over to you. Because if you don't have that, sometimes I don't have time to go back over my videos. I really don't watch my videos over again a lot. So sometimes I don't have the time to go back over the video and find it. So that way I would like for you guys to find it for me so I can share it with you. So if you want those references, let me know. Get the name of the reference I shared. Send me a screenshot of it. Give me a time mark and I'll send it to you. Hope you guys enjoyed the edification I gave earlier. Some of the source information I share with y'all later on in the lecture. I love you, family. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for another Freestyle Friday session in 2 weeks. Later on today, I'll be giving a presentation. I'll be in New York next Saturday. Next weekend, I'll be in New York. So those of y'all in New York, if you want to come check me out, I'm going to be at the Unity Conference that's going down in New York by Sinetta. So I'll be there for my New York family. Come out, show your support. That way I could come chop it up with y'all. We could talk, we could chat, whatever. You'll get more time with me face to face, and I'll be able to interface with my family. You know, I consider everybody in your family. Let me go back and see anybody I did not shout out so I can shout y'all out. Let me see who else is in here where I did not shout out. I want to make sure everybody, Life Lessons, shout out to Life Lessons, shout out to Series B. And this is for the family watching. These are the people in the chat who always come and support and always interface with me and keep me sharp. You know what I'm saying? Who else am I missing? I think I got everybody. Yosef, Abdiel, Iban, Yisrael. Shout out to him. Ether Queen. Shout out to her. I don't know if I shouted her out yet. Signified Monkey. Shout out to Signified Monkey. Anybody else want to shout out? Just hit one real quick. And let me shout you out. Hit one real quick. Let me shout you out. And yeah, stay tuned, man. I got a lot of information coming out. I've seen your questions. And like I said, I'm going to get to your questions. Like I said, I'm trying to transition to doing full time. For those who want to donate, you can go to GoFundMe.com/Kingdom Harbinger, and you can donate there. Or you can donate through the super chat anytime we have the live sessions, or through PayPal at the email kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. That's the PayPal in case y'all want to donate there. Anybody that want to join the organization, send me an email to kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. I'll give you a brief assessment test and we can move forward from there. The Patreon website will be up soon in case those of y'all who want to commit to a monthly donation and keep everything going. And you also get perks by donating and doing stuff like that. I picked out a winner who's going to get a one-on-one session with me live on my YouTube channel. From all those who donated, from whether it was $1 to $1,000, I picked out 3 winners: a major winner, a person who's second runner-up, and third runner-up. So I'm gonna feature the person who got the first, who won it. I'm gonna feature them on the channel. The other 2, I'm gonna send them something. I'll get something nice. So everybody who donates, whether it's a penny to $1 million, everybody's always equity. You know what I'm saying? And like we've seen in the story of Yahusha, there was a widow, old widow, who gave 2 pints, 2 cents, 2 mints, whatever she had. And being that in regards to equity, she gave the little bit she had to keep the temple open so she would have a place to go to. And after people seeing all of this expensive stuff that everybody else who had gave, the most important thing was the widow who gave the least amount, because that's a small seed. And it's not in the sense of Christianity when we use the word seed. We're talking about you investing into something that is beneficial to your community that you can also be a part of and you get immediate results from. Because a lot of information that we share is not just strictly on Hebrew Israelite culture and ideology. It goes into proactivism, it goes into health, it goes into debt elimination, it goes into so many things. And it also helps to employ people that are outsourced for assistance on certain things. So all the donations that come in, it goes to all of these things. This is why I have to shout everybody out, because all of y'all make this platform possible. And without y'all, I wouldn't be here. So I have to always give credence and credit to those who are supporting. So anybody, and I know a lot of people giving me requests to come out to your city, email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. If I don't respond, then I'm gonna have one of my assistants respond to you. We'll set up the specifics and we'll come out to your city. Okay. So I know some people ask me to come to Chicago. Some people ask me to come to Houston. Some people ask me to come to LA. I plan to come back to LA soon. I'll be there soon. I have my brother Freddie Knox, who's been doing a lot of work assisting me in the background. Shout out to my brother Freddie Knox, or Danielle L. Knox. And my sister Tamika, also, she's been assisting with me with a lot of stuff also in the background. L Boogie, she's been helping out as well. And a lot of the people who's been helping, who's part of the organization, who does assist. Thank you for your sacrifice, your time, your due diligence in the background. I know a lot of these people don't want to be on Front Street, and like I said, I always strive to protect people and keep them anonymous. But sometimes I also want them to give props for assisting. Right? I don't want any righteous act to go overlooked. It's not to put it on blast, but I just don't want it to be overlooked. I want everybody who's doing righteously to get rewarded, if I can help it, for their investment. All right. So with that, I love you, family. But I'm all the way in Indonesia, Australia. I mean, we travel worldwide, so that's not an issue. We can get that going. We can make arrangements, and we can go worldwide. It's not a problem. If y'all need me in the UK, we can set it up. If you need me in Australia, Indonesia, we can set it up. No problem. Right. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, but we'll set something in motion to get that done and taken care of, so we can come out there and touch bases with the family. All right. So let me go, family. If not, I'll be here with y'all all night, because y'all are a great crowd. Y'all inspire me to keep doing what I'm doing. Please keep me in your prayers. Pray that I stay humble. Pray that I stay modest. Pray that I keep my ear to the people, keep my ear to the street. Pray I don't lose sight of the mission, which is to serve the people of Yah, to galvanize our people, to resolve societal ills, and to be the catalyst for change that we need, so this new generation coming up can have a greater quality of life. Pray that my leadership skills are not in vain, that I'm able to bring our concerns on bigger platforms so that people can invest in our communities, that the plans that I have for rebuilding and restructuring our cities, which you'll see when I go do the Unity Conference, that can be enhanced into bigger sponsors, so that way we can really see change. And that also pray for me and my family, personal matters. And if anybody needs any kind of assistance from me, if I'm able to help, feel free to email me and I'll see what I can do to assist. Okay. Whatever that may be. The worst thing I can say is, I can't help you, but let me point you in the right direction. And this is what we need to expect from our leaders, because if we don't hold them accountable, then their ego will take them to another level where they will not be serving the people anymore. So just pray my humility, pray for my modesty, pray that I avoid controversy, because I don't want to interrupt my momentum of bringing our concerns on a bigger platform, because I have an emotional nigga moment You know, excuse my language. I try to keep the language appropriate for kids who are watching, but have that type of moment to disqualify myself to come into going on a bigger stage and bringing our information on a bigger stage. And a lot of people in the community, whether Israelite community, college community, have been trying to ambush me and try to get me out of character, so that way they can get me to compromise my mission. But it's not going to work, especially when I have you guys in my corner. It's not going to work, right? So with that, KHM is Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. So Anunnaki Offset, KHM is Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. All right, just so you know, that's the name of my organization. And the organization is centered around culture, community, and autonomy. So everything that I teach, everything I do is centered around installing culture to raise up a community to be autonomous. All right, so that's the fundamental thing. And also it is to prepare our people to announce the arrival of a kingdom in which will be ruling and reigning, and to prepare the people for this kingdom that is to come. Okay, and we have to be the forerunners. We have to initiate this kingdom to come for us to exist in, so that way we can create a more better world for this globe, because this globe is finished. The elitists, the oppressors have destroyed this planet, so much so that they're looking to colonize other planets. And you know, we are the caretakers of the planet. We've been given dominion. Those who are righteously walking are the caretakers of the planet. We have to get back in sync and harmony with nature, getting back in sync and harmony with each other, being able to find alternate paths to the divine force that has birth purpose in us, and being able to circumvent all the things that are designed to remove us from the spiritual realm. And we have to get back in sync with these things by working together cohesively, as a amalgamation of peoples who all have different personalities, different traits, different characteristics, different skills, different talents, and fuse them together, so that way we can be the catalyst for change. We can solve societal ills, and we can continue to allow the freedom to have these type of platforms, to have these type of engagement and discussions. So steel can sharpen shield, iron can sharpen iron. All right. So with that, family, thank you for watching. I love you. Peace, shalom, and Black power.